This is from the passenger side, looking at the driver's side wheel hub, and looking up. There's the Crossmember that goes right across the front of the car from back to front. There, we've taken out the drive axle, passenger side drive axle, and what I want to focus on is that thing right there in the middle. That is the vehicle speed sensor, the VSS, where it connects onto the transaxle. So you can see I've already disconnected that. It's normally back here, connected onto the plastic fitting. And you just take a screwdriver, and right there, you just compress that little tab with a screwdriver, and the VSS pops off again. I'm going to now drop the transmission, so I'm just going to go through the sequence. So you can see I've got a jack here, so that jack is suspending the transaxle on this side. Okay, it's in there firmly. It's got a transmission jack adapter, as you can see on the top. Then what I'm going to do is, remember these engines they're 4 mounting bolts, or 4 mounts. So there's one on the passenger side, one on the front, one on the back, and one on the driver's side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the passenger side mount attached. It's attached to the engine, which doesn't need to go anywhere. So what I'm going to do is I've got the jack down below holding up the whole transaxle and engine, which is still very firmly attached. I'm going to detach that mounting engine mount down there, and there's another one on the back. There's a cross member, a piece of metal that goes from front to back. I'm going to detach that as well. That whole assembly will come out. 2 mounts and one mount from the front mounting bracket and the cross member. Drop that down, then detach the rear mounting bracket. Then detach the bracket on this side. You can't see through there, but I'll show from below. And then what I'll do is that will have then the whole engine and transaxle will be loose, but it's being held up by that jack. And then what I'm going to do is take that jack, second jack, put that under the engine to the left of the transaxle. I don't want to support the transaxle because I want to take that away. So I'll put that under the engine. I'll find a nice spot, maybe below the oil pan or just to the right of the oil pan. Then detach the transaxle. Well, remove this jack first, get that out of the way. Remove the mounting bolts on the transaxle, and then hopefully drop the tranny. Detaching the front and rear mounting brackets. So there's the front of the car panning back. There's the cross member. There is the front mount going back to the rear. There are some bolts and a nut on the rear end of the cross member. So I've already loosened all these. So they're 14mm. There's one here. Sorry, there's one here. I've taken it out. There's one there. I've taken it out. One there. Taken it out. 2 here. Those connect to the mounting bracket. These are all 14mm. You need a deep socket on this one, and as well the front mount is 14mm. These are all 14mm as well. Nice of you, Toyota. So there's 3 bolts and 1 nut. Okay, just remove them all. This is the cross member that goes from the front of the car to the rear. It supports the engine. There was an engine mount right there. I've taken that out. So there are on the cross member, there are 2 bolts here. There are 2 bolts here, okay? All the same size. I think they were 15mm. So what I've done now, I just want to show how I'm going to support the engine. I do it at your own risk, I have to say that. So what I've done is I've taken out both these bolts, the straight through bolts, to that support the cross member to the frame. And then what I did, you can see that wood up there. I also took out the bolts in the back. There are 3 of them. 1, 2, sorry. Yeah, there's a nut and 2 bolts, and so that this cross member can swing. So what I did is I swung it from here over, okay? And then what I did is I cut some wood, some 2x4s, and I placed it between the cross member and the engine up there. And then the idea is that when I unbolt the transaxle from the engine, that the engine is going to be supported on that. The rear mounting bracket was hard to get off. It's quite embedded in the middle of the engine block. So You can see I've got a long extension, 2 extensions, and this is a 17 mil socket. So there is, let me get a look at this thing. Right there, that bolt, that is the rear mounting bracket. So what I'm going to do is get my socket on that. The driver's side engine mount is here. The manual says to undo all kinds of bolts. I simplified it. I just took this straight through bolt out. It was right in here. You can see it easily enough. Just take it out. The one thing I found was that was a problem was the battery bracket. Get rid of this. That's the battery bracket right there. I had to unbolt that because the head of the straight through bolt kept hitting right there. So I took that whole bracket off and then got the bolt out. Now definitely take off the entire engine mount because it's connected to the transaxle in a couple of different ways, and it gets in the way when you try to drop the transaxle. I've just been trying to do that now and found that out. One other little housekeeping point over here. This is the power to the solenoid. It slips through here. I'm just going to make a note. Through this little gap underneath the plastic cover, the intake manifold. So I had to pull it out because it'll break off when I drop the tranny. And then you can see now that transaxle is basically popped off and it's ready to go.